Something that has always irked me concerning the gift of N'Zoth is that while you can understand Shathyar in the chat, you cannot understand the whispers in the audio in the background. I tried looking online for any clue as to what it is saying, but I came up empty-handed. Then one day, what do I find but a video of the whispers that N'Zoth likes to drive people crazy with. The video was by someone named Water Nebula. Thank you. And the audio was practically crystal clear. Thank you. So with nowhere else to turn, I took matters into my own hands and decided to decipher it. At the start I knew this would be difficult, and one of the big hurdles I would have to jump right away was the echo. While the echo does a pretty good job of making people feel disturbed, it didn't help when I was trying to figure out the words of a language I was hardly familiar with. Imagine trying to learn Korean, except the instructor just shouts in Korean at you across a museum and you have to use a Korean to English book to understand, along with most of the pages torn out, because that was my next hurdle. The Shathyar Wowpedia page is one of the longest language pages, yet most of it cannot be directly translated and most of the specific words were not deciphered. There was a section of words that was cross-referenced in an attempt to place meaning on specific phrases, but it was only so long. So for my first move, I decided to listen to the audio, write down what I thought I heard, and, well, I tried to get an editing software that was free, but I had no way to remove the echo. So, it was a start, I'll say that. After this I tried to find the words to translate. N'Zoth is mentioned 3 times, so I used that as a starting point. This is where I made my first stretch. I scanned through the sentences that were confirmed by Blizzard. Control F helped a lot. I noticed after one N'Zoth it was followed by the word Eok, which was untranslated in the cross-reference. I also wrote down Eok as Enoch in my phonetics sheet, so I also realized I had to play a game of incoherent if I wanted to translate the rest of this entire whisper. Out of the 4 sentences where Eok was mentioned, I decided to view N'Zoth Eok as the will of N'Zoth. I felt a little justified by this choice because this word showed up in no other places than after the word N'Zoth in the whispers. Then I kept listening. I started in the middle and listened, rewinded, listened, and rewinded again, trying to catch every syllable, every phonetic. It was the easiest place to start. I made 2 more notable stretches. At one point, you can hear what I wrote down phonetically as N'Zoik. The Zoik part was hard to pin down. Eventually, I settled on 2 words, Ook, which means power, and an even greater stretch, Sok, which after looking through the 4 lines it was present in, I thought it might mean twisted, even though I barely believe this claim. And yeah, they don't sound exactly like Zoik, but I was hoping the words would be pronounced creatively. Soon I got to the last lines in the video, and this is where things got interesting. I thought I heard Osela, which I speculated that it might be a name like Ashara. After some digging, I couldn't find anything, so I put my phone to my ear and listened intently again. And again. What I thought was Selah turned out to be Shel Yar. Shel meaning void, and Yar meaning God. I got a little concerned, yet intrigued, as I wanted to know what a void god had to do in this translation. Then it occurred to me that this might not just be some cultist fluff, but this might actually be what I was silently hoping for. A prophecy. So I kept looking through the cross-references, thankfully most of the words were found there, and I finished the last lines before moving on without really thinking about what they implied. Later I backtracked and finished the first lines, and I started to write down what they literally mean. By this, I mean the exact words Wowpedia translated without changing the tense or fixing the grammar, if that makes sense. I did this because when Shathyar is translated to English it sounds broken. For example, the phrase, they do not die, they do not live, they are outside the cycle translates to they not die, they not live, they outside cycle. Once I wrote down what Wowpedia told me, I got a new page and wrote the final draft with its grammar somewhat fixed. I'll admit, okay, some sentences sound a bit clunky. At one point, N'Zoth seems to refer to himself as 0,000. I wanted to add eyes because, if I'm remembering correctly, he was referred to as the god of 1,000 eyes, but I couldn't justify it. Even with the next word being sea to support it, I didn't want to take even more leaps in something that was already so speculatory. I didn't want to be more wrong. Then, after 5 hours, I was done. and I was a bit shocked at what I uncovered. Now, while the beginning is what I'm a bit uncertain about, especially since there are two phrases which I am not confident about at all, I can say with 80% certainty that I got the main idea of what was said at the end, which is the main chunk that matters because that is the prophecy. Please bear in mind that this may not be accurate, but here are my findings. Fear is power. The will of N'Zoth is living through you. I, O darkness, O praised, O thousand, see many deaths. My soul adorns your praise. I hunger power from them. The will of N'Zoth lets you live for millennia. I, O darkness, is victorious. Your suffering world soul waited, as our void god, our eternity lasts. You can take this how you want, but I believe that this means that Azeroth is doomed. The old gods have done too much damage, and I think we might have to try to redeem a dark Azeroth when she awakens, or we might just have to kill her or run, I don't know. But, now we may never know if this is true. At least, not right now. The only way we can find out is if a Blizzard employee either confirms or denies it, or if the prophecy comes to pass. Other than that, if it is true, it lines up with a few confirmed prophecies as well that could back it up. The King of Diamonds has been made a pawn. Her heart is a crater, we have filled it. Its surface blazes bright, masking shadows underneath. This could mean that the voice of Azeroth could be influenced by the old gods' corruption, thus making Bronzebeard a pawn, although he doesn't know it. Along with that, the dialogue near the wounded Silithus might be hinting at something that could match up with the masking shadows underneath prophecy. At Magnai's encampment, one Earthen Ring shaman says, "Our powers are having no effect. How can we heal the planet?" Maybe the dark forces underneath the planet's surface are preventing Azeroth to heal for some reason. Oh yeah, and that is ignoring the fact that the sword is Goribel, and its effects might be a part of it. Then again, Goribel mixed with the old god's corruption might be making everything so much worse, to the point healing is useless. Oh yeah, and then there's the fact that Azeroth still has the chance to die from the wound, and that poor world soul has already suffered so much. The Dark Portal, the Maelstrom, the Cataclysm, Yasharaj, the Scourge, the Veil between the living and the dead being sundered, just to name a few. It did say your suffering world soul waited. This might be Azeroth's breaking point. Honestly, it wouldn't be surprising if she gave in after so many years of pain. If Titans can be corrupted, why can't she? She's only a baby anyways. And Sargeras was corrupted too. Hold on. Okay, I should hop off this train before I end up saying something totally unjustified and insane. Again, this is speculation. But if there is anything we can take away from this, be careful. I think the nightmare that is the old gods hasn't finished yet.